Hi Panthers, welcome to your Mindful Monday brought to you by GSU Healthy Habits and Student Nutrition Services. I'm Melissa, a registered dietitian nutritionist and a registered yoga teacher, and I am here to guide you through a mindful eating practice. So if you have not already, go ahead and grab something to eat to practice your mindful eating. That could be a meal or that could be a snack. Anything that is available. Some of y'all might be eating dinner right now, some of y'all might be eating lunch, and that's okay too. So go ahead and grab something, and then of course if you're watching the replay, you can push pause, come back to this. For those of y'all who want pin attendance, you'll go to tinyurl.com/gsueat, and I put that information in the comments. So if you want to get credit and pin, that'll be the place to do it, and then I'll put that in the replay comments as well. So if we all have something to eat, something to enjoy, we'll take a moment to ground. It's really important to ground in our mindful eating because it gets us in touch with our bodies, and it gets us in touch with our hunger fullness cues, so we can better regulate and better understand and listen to our body's internal wisdom as to what our fullness feels like and what our hunger feels like. So taking a few deep breaths, inhale through the nose. Open your mouth, let it fall. Again, inhale deep. Let it go. Last time, deepest inhale of the day. Inhale all the way up, all the way in. Open your mouth, let it fall. Let your breath fall at its natural pace. You can feel free to soften or close the eyes, whatever feels the best for you. Perhaps a hand on the abdomen, maybe a hand on the heart, just to get grounded into what sensations we're feeling. See if we can release the jaw. And then thinking about where our hunger falls. If 1 is the most hungry I've ever been, and 10 is the most full I've ever been, with 5 being a neutral, not hungry, not full, where do you feel? Where do you fall on that scale? What does hunger feel like? Does it feel like an appetite, like something sounds good, a craving? Does it feel like a stomach grumbling, a headache, maybe a mood change? Maybe we're feeling a little hangry. Notice what hunger feels like for you. Know that there is no right or wrong answer. It's just the experience that you have. And then thinking about what it is that you're craving. Thinking about the texture. Is it crunchy? Is it chewy? Thinking about the temperature. Is it something that's warm food, cold food? Is it a liquid? Is it a solid? Is it salty? Is it sweet? Is it sour? Is it bitter? Is it maybe a combination? Thinking about those components. And knowing you can utilize your cravings to create whatever meal that you want. And if the food in front of you is not what it is that you're craving, that's okay. We can still eat it for nourishment. And then tell ourselves that we're going to get what it is that we crave at another time. Take one more deep inhale. Open your mouth, let it fall. And if your eyes are closed, go ahead and blink them open. And then again, looking down at your food, thinking about what does it look like, right? With mindful eating, we bring in all of the senses. We eat with our eyes, we eat with our nose, we eat with our mouth and our taste buds. We hear the food, right? When we cook the food, it maybe sizzles and pops. There's a sound to it. So bringing all of these into our experience could increase the pleasure, or if anything, just increase the moment of being still and being in the present moment. So looking at your food, looking at the texture, looking at the color, and just so you can see what I'm eating, a little like cheese and crackers and olive appetizer situation here. So I've got a little bit of green, a little bit of black with the olives. I've got some brown with the crackers, some orange and some white with the cheese. So a lot of color going on here. And then we'll notice, picking up our food, whether that's with our hand or with our fork, and just noticing what it feels like, noticing what it smells like. And this cracker smells a little salty. And smelling gets your body prepared to eat. So maybe notice what's going on in your mouth as you bring the food close to your nose and to your lips. Maybe you're possibly having a watering sensation in your mouth, that's your body preparing to eat, which is amazing because that promotes better digestion, right? Because we're in that parasympathetic nervous system that rest and digest. When you're ready, we'll go ahead and take our first bite. So biting into whatever it is that you brought to this practice. Maybe noticing the sound. And then chewing slowly. Resist the temptation to just chomp it down quickly and see if you can just notice the texture in your mouth. What sensations are going on? What is the flavor? So my cracker is a little crunchy, a little salty, a little dry. So I will need a drink of water. But that slowing down could intensify some of the sensations, which may be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Again, it's not about having a good experience. It's just about having the experience that you have and just being present with it. So go ahead and guide yourself through the next couple of bites. It does not have to be as slow, but noticing the food, smelling the food, tasting the food, and chewing slowly, and just noticing what it is that you notice, and know that everything is welcome. So I'll go ahead and join in the practice with you. And again, trying to chew a little bit slower than we normally do. And fully finishing the bite that we have and swallowing before we reach for the fork or before we reach for another piece of food. And sometimes eating a little bit slower can be uncomfortable. That's okay. Just take note of that. And then in the journal, you can maybe journal about it, and then maybe start to uncover why that is. Are we rushed all the time? Do we only have a certain amount of time to eat? Are we just used to that out of habit? So to share my current experience, some pepper jack cheese. I got a little spicy sensation, a little tingly sensation, which is quite pleasant because I do enjoy spicy foods. And then there's like a creaminess with the cheese. And normally, for me, again, just to share my experience, for me, these little bite-sized pieces of cheese are like a 2-bite swallow type of situation. But now that I'm forced to slow down and really chew, there is more sensation, right? More of the tingly, more of the spicy in my mouth, which is more enjoyable than just popping it down. So I just thought I'd share that from my perspective and know that my experience isn't necessarily your experience, and that's okay. That's okay. But just to share. And as you're eating, reminding ourselves to take a little extra bites than we normally would. And noticing the intention. What's our intention of picking up the fork or picking up the food? Is that out of habit? Right? Is that out of like, I'm uncomfortable sitting still, so I want to hurry up and eat, get things off the checklist? Notice, what is your intention? Is it to fuel yourself? Is it to have an experience? And again, there's no judgment here. Moving on to the olive. So a little bit of a different experience for me from the crackers and the cheese. So this one is very salty. A little chewy, but also maybe some tangy sensations. Like when you eat barbecue sauce, you have a little tangy feeling in the back of your jaw, which is interesting. It's hard for me to describe. I'll have to sit on that a little bit and think about that. But again, a pleasant experience, having like the different sensations. I'm curious to know if anyone wants to share. Is there any surprising experiences that are happening in your mindful eating practice? And if it's something that we don't want to share, that's okay too. But know that we're all here together with the intention of being mindful, so being in the present moment. And again, engaging the sights, the smells, the tastes, and just being completely present with our bodies and with what's on our plate. Thank you for sharing. How does that feel to eat a little bit slower? For me, if I'm honest, it's a little bit hard because I am used to eating fast as well. So it is a little bit hard. So y'all are keeping me accountable for slowing down. But I am getting some flavors that I normally wouldn't be getting. You started to feel the texture, very pleasant. I'm glad that you're having, a pleasant experience. That's always nice. And what's interesting, sometimes people try a mindful eating for something that is a food that they eat often. That's maybe a stressor food, a stress relief food, right? Like a chocolate or a fast food burger. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And sometimes when they slow down and they're like, oh, I'm having a different experience with this than I normally do, and I'm not thinking that I like this as much as I normally like it. So it's interesting. Exactly, the flavors didn't notice the flavor. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And there's so before just to share a little story for me, before I started mindfully eating, I would go out to dinner with my spouse, and we would share dessert, and I would be scared that he would eat my portion of the dessert, so I would eat really fast, so fast that I didn't even get to enjoy my food. And I was like, I had this beautiful dessert and I didn't even taste it. So now I'm very conscious of taking the bite and slowly savoring it so I can really enjoy the richness of the dessert. Yeah, thank you for sharing. And then we do have the mindful eating journal in our link tree. And that's something that you can fill out, that you can utilize. Take a screenshot of it. It's 2 pages and it has the hunger fullness scale. And it also has a journal to think about, things that might be affecting hunger fullness. So if we're not hydrated, that can affect our hunger fullness. If, we're stressed out, that could suppress our appetite, that could increase our appetite. Sleep levels can affect our appetite as well, and our hunger levels. So there's just different things to think about, and your hunger and fullness might be different every day, but it's just kind of tapping back into that present moment and that awareness, right? So again, so we can recognize these hunger fullness cues, and maybe add some more pleasure into our meals, to slow down and to really taste all the flavors. And then you can unravel any emotional experiences that happen. If you're like, ooh, I'm really uncomfortable with this, I don't know why, this is a struggle, that's okay. And sometimes journaling about it, you're like, oh, I know why. It's because my whole day is rush, and it's hard for me to slow down. Or maybe there's, something else there, but that's, the journal could help unravel that. And this might be a good time to say that if you are having, some feelings about food that are complicated. You can always make an appointment with Student Nutrition Services and talk to a registered dietitian like myself. You can also make an appointment at the counseling center, the GSU Counseling Center, and talk about your relationship with food with a counselor as well. So know that those resources are available to you for free if you are a student at Georgia State University. Yes, absolutely. Your student fees pays for that service, so there's no additional cost to you. Yeah, so know that part of your student fees pays for that, and that's one of the advantages of being a student at GSU. Very cool. Well, we have a few more minutes, so let's just go ahead and take a couple more mindful bites together and just experience our food. Knowing that we don't have to rush, even though we have a few moments. Those moments can be expanded in time if we just stay present and slow down. Remembering to fully chew and to fully swallow. I'm thinking about our intention of picking up another piece of food. Are we picking it up out of habit? Or are we picking it up because we're still hungry? So with our last few moments, we'll take a check-in. We took a check-in at the beginning of the session, what our hunger was. So now, scanning the body. And again, you can place a hand on the heart and maybe the abdomen. You can soften or close your eyes. And taking a moment, again, to scan the body, notice your hunger and fullness. If 1 is the most hungry I've ever been, and 10 is the most full I've ever been, and 5 is neutral, where do you fall on that scale? Know that there is no right or wrong answer. You might still be hungry. You might be unsure, and that's okay. But the more that you do the mindful eating, the more you will start to recognize your hunger and fullness. And then we'll take one more deep breath as a collected community. Inhale through the nose. Open your mouth, let it go. Go ahead and blink your eyes open. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for sharing your your mindful eating practice with me and just being in the moment. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your meal. If you have any questions, feel free to DM us or again, make an appointment with Student Nutrition Services if you would like to work one-on-one with one of the registered dietitians. Thank you so much and have a great week.